Hello, my name is Josh, and I'm a watchaholic. Welcome to Horology Insanity. What is up, my watch friends? Alright, so check this out. Today, we're going to be looking at the Zelos Horizons version 1, and you'll notice that this is the Timekeepers limited edition with the Aventurine dial. Now, I was specifically asked by someone in our Zelos group to do a review or a video of this watch and to compare it to some of the other options that kind of exist in this very limited space of the watch hobby, and that is looking for Aventurine dials. Now, if you are familiar with this watch at all, you will know that Elshin released this only to the Timekeepers group. He gave us a password to a password protected buying site where we could go and buy these, and there were only 100 of them produced. Originally, he had only released 90 to the public so that he could keep 10 back for himself to do any kind of warranty work, warranty swaps, any of that kind of stuff. Now, earlier, I want to say it was earlier this year, it wasn't too long ago, in one of his flash sales, he released, if not all 10, I want to say all of the other ones that he was going to release of this watch. So I don't know if he's currently holding any back, but even then, you got to think there's 100 of these in existence. And here's one. Now, for those unfamiliar with this watch, you can go look it up, right? It's the ETA fully decorated custom rotor dial. It's the Horizons GMT version 1 on the Zelos website. But I could be wrong. If you go out there, you may not see this version, but all the specs and everything for the other variants are going to be the same as this. The main difference on this one is that it does have this Aventurine dial. Now, if you are into the look of this dial, or if you've researched any of these, you can see I'm trying to get the glint, because that's what it looks like. It looks like a starry night, right? It looks like the outer space when you're looking at this. It's kind of a deep, dark, bluish black with the flecks of, I don't even know what that is, the flecks of that give it the glitter color. But you will notice, if you kind of do a search on these, that on the super duper high end, A. Longa and Zona has an Aventurine watch, and then Arnold and Son has a moon phase where they offer this. Now, if you are into the modding community, then you may be aware that some folks offer a dial similar to this that you can either throw into a Seiko mod or into any other thing where that dial would fit. The one that I'm most familiar with is, and I'm going to butcher this, Lucius Atelier. I don't know, Lucius Atelier. Now, check this out. Those dials aren't cheap, right? And but I bought a couple dials from them, and they've been top-notch quality, great service, super fast shipping, all of that. So maybe that's an example of you get what you pay for. But I will say, if you go out there and you're a little shocked, and it too, I need to double check the pricing. Be careful when you go and look on some of these mods and the parts website, because you may have to do some conversions. It may be that the prices listed are like in Singapore dollars, or in, some other kind of currency, and so you'll need to do a conversion on that. So just be mindful. So, but anyway, if you really want to, you can probably go on Alibaba or AliExpress and find watches on the super, super duper affordable side that are trying to give you this kind of a styling. But again, in the same vein as you get what you pay for, right? I got some great stuff off of AliExpress, but even its best doesn't compare like to this Zelos. So you just got to be real. Okay. Now, the other one that I want to talk about today, and here's where I want to do the side-by-side comparison, is there's another Microbrand that has an Aventurine dial, and it is called Balticus, and it is called the Stardust. And so if I zoom this back a little bit, you'll see the kind of styling cues, very, what is it, Gerald Gentry or whatever? I don't know the guy's name. The guy who did the Royal Oak and all those famous designs. You can see here it's got kind of the integrated bracelet, butterfly clasp. Doesn't have the see-through case back, but they did put the stars on the back. And I don't know the stats on this watch. Let me check this out real quick. If it says it on the back. This has just been in my collector's kind of pile. So I don't really wear it. Water resistance 20, so that's 200 meters. Sapphire crystal, automatic movement. Doesn't tell me what movement. Balticus. And what else do we see in here? I don't know. I guess that's a model number or stainless steel. Okay, yeah, I don't know. So I'd have to look it up. Balticus has a pretty decent website, though. So if you went out there, I think they've got a couple of different variations of this watch. One of them has a date. One of them's an automatic. I think they've got maybe a quartz that's a little bit thinner, right? So you can see that this one has a little bit of weight heft to it. So, but yeah, this thing is stunning. And so here's what I want to do real quick. I'm going to put these side by side so that people can see them and see what's up. The first thing you'll notice is that the Balticus is way bigger. And I think that translates even over to the dial. So let's take a couple of quick measurements. Okay, without the case, if I can get a good on there, you're looking at almost 43. So 42.5 mil on the case. Lug to lug, so here's the tricky part. It's got this integrated bracelet, so you almost got to measure it like way out here, and you're looking at like a 54 lug to lug because this end link here doesn't really articulate down. Now you will see that it's got a nice curvature to it, but you know, it kind of is what it is when you're dealing with bracelets like that. Overall thickness, we're looking at 14.1, and that's including, you see the case back's actually fairly large. And then it's got a fixed bezel that also stands up several millimeter. The sapphire crystal on it is flat though. Well, you see I got a 13.9 on that one. So, but yeah, so you can see that here. Now let's do the same with the Zelos. So the Zelos is basically a 40 millimeter case, but here's what's interesting about it. It wears small because it's got a smaller bezel. You see the bezel on it's 37.7. So let's see if I can get that right there. 37.9. So 40 mil case, right? But a much smaller bezel. So when you have it on the wrist, it wears much smaller than what you would think. Now here we're looking at a lug to lug of 44. And so that's like 10 mil smaller than the Balticus. So if you're wondering about size, right, then you would want to go with one or the other. Now I personally wear them both and have no problems, but I've got like an 8-inch wrist. So the Zelos is on the smaller side of the spectrum of what I usually like, and the Balticus is actually a little bit on the larger side of the spectrum that I usually like. And most of the watches, like my sweet spot would actually be in between both of these. But I'm curious to try to take dial measurements. Like, this is not an optical illusion. That Balticus dial feels like it's about 1.5 times as big as the Zelos. And if you notice the shade differences, the Balticus is a much like darker, it's a black background with the shimmer. And the shimmer on both is about the same, depending on how the light catches it. You can see that as I twist it, it kind of twinkles, twinkle, twinkle, little star. How I wonder what you are. Wait, is that how that goes? I don't know. Somebody down in the comments for fun, teach me how to sing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. But anyway, the Zelos, on the other hand, is more of a blue-black. And you'll notice that that plays into the color that they have on this bezel, which is kind of like gray on this underside here, and then a blue, like a slate blue up here on the top. So definitely some differences. Now you'll notice that the Balticus, of course, is not a GMT, right? And so that, for many people, is going to make a big difference. Again, I don't know what movement's in this Balticus, so that's my bad, y'all. I didn't look that up. but you can find it on the website. But I think most people that are going to watch this video really just want to see, okay, what do they look like side by side? Like, what are my options, even if I'm looking for something with this amazing dial in it? And you don't have a whole lot of them. So let's see if I can just kind of hold those up here. So now, just to show you on a couple of comparisons, I got some other kind of black dialed watches. Before I go to that, so here, as you know, is the Meteorite Zelos Horizon 1 GMT, which is very much sought after and hard to get. It took me, this was my regret. I did not buy one of these when they came out, and it took me quite a while before I was able to get one. But yeah, that's pretty cool there. Looks like that was 120 of them made. So, but you got the Meteorite, and tell the difference there. Definitely, and even the difference in the bezel. So the gray is the same, but the upper part, you can see how it's a little different on the two. Much darker on the Meteorite. And then, just to show you like some textured dials, here's another Zelos. This is the Swordfish with the carbon dial. And you can see here how the carbon is black, but not really. Because it has the texture to it. That's kind of how I would explain the Zelos. It's black, but not really, because it gives off that bluish tint to it, which, depending on, you know, the night sky, how it might look. So there's that. And in case anybody's interested, I'm currently wearing the Zelos blue, ice blue, I think they call it, ice blue Swordfish on this Jubilee, right? So there we go. Now, to put it up with some straight up black dialed watches, to give you a comparison, here is the ZX. Oh man, I can't remember the number of these. ZX1 maybe. This is the black. It's got the white subdials, but you can see when you put it up against the black, the Zelos looks more blue, right? I mean, when I put it up against the blue, it probably looks a little bit more black. So you just see the way that the color plays in this dial, and that's one of the main reasons why everybody likes these Aventurine dials, is because they're so playful. Here's another one that I love, and you just kind of go full on out. This is the NASA. This is the Xeric Trappist NASA watch, but you can see where they've kind of done the night sky, and then they filled it in with Lume, and so it doesn't have the glitter or the shimmer that the Zelos and the Balticus do, but it's still fun nevertheless. So, and I think some of these can still be had. They make an automatic and a quartz. This is a quartz. They make different variations. This is the ISS for the International Space Station, but you can get other variants. So anyway, the Xeric Trappist. So, and then let's comparing it to just more standard black dials that people are aware of, and I'm going to do these with both watches. So here is the Casio Duro, the classic black dial Casio Duro. So you can see here, it makes the Zelos look a little bit more blue, right? Let's put this up next to the Balticus. And sorry, it's taking me a little bit here, guys. If you know me, you know that I don't scratch or ding my watches. Like, I will never set a watch flat like that to where the bracelet can touch the case back. That's a big no-no in my book. So, but anyway, so here you go. You can see that the black against the Balticus, it's still, so it makes the Balticus look a little bit more blue than it had before. So just the way that that color shifts, even though the Balticus is still quite kind of darker than the Zelos, if I can get all of these in one shot. Interesting. It's interesting the way that the colors, you know, the way that that works, the light play, the way that it catches your eye. I've got a couple more here. So here's the very, very, very famous, I think it's the Sarbo 33 with the standard black dial. And you'll actually see case shape and sizing wise, the Zelos is very similar to the Sarb, even though the Zelos is technically 2 mil bigger. The Sarb is a 38 mil case. So, but you could see how they are very similar in like case shape and the way that they would wear on the wrist. So there's that. Okay, and I'll put the Sarb up next to the Balticus. So you got that comparison. See, the Balticus towers over that Sarb. So if you are the type of person that wants to wear this sized Seiko, which is honestly most people, the Balticus might be a little big for you, and the Zelos might be like a perfect fit. So there you go. There's those. And then the last one I want to put them up against is the Zen 104. And the reason I put it up against the Zen 104 here compared to those other dials is the Duro and even the Sarb. So the Duro has a sunburst finished on it. Now the Sarb, if you look at it, it doesn't really have a sunburst finish, but it is almost like a glossy black. To where if you look here at the Zen is a matte black dial. Okay, you can see here when I put them next to each other, they're definitely different. And so this is the reason why I wanted to give you kind of all of these. When you compare this up next to that matte black dial, it makes that Aventurine just jump off the page. So that's pretty interesting there, right? The way that goes. So let's get that set down without it scratching. And here's the Balticus with the flat. See, once again, that flat black or matte black on the Zen just makes the Aventurine on both of these things. It gives it depth. Like when you look at either one of these Aventurine dials, it just looks like I'm staring into the sky at night where there's no light pollution. And you can just gaze at all the stars. Okay, well, so that's it. I hope this video serves y'all well. Again, this was the main comparison, but I want to give it to everybody. And the Balticus, so both of these watches are super hard to find, and you want to be mindful of that, right? I set up an eBay saved search and I found this Balticus on eBay. I got it at a reasonable price, which is the reason that I picked it up. I really picked it up because I wanted to do this kind of side-by-side comparison and check them out. I've got one other Balticus and it's a great watch. And so I felt good about the quality and everything that I was going to get from it. The Balticus is much less expensive than the Zelos. So that's another pro and con that you can weigh out. But the Zelos, if you check out, they're not common, but if you look at the Timekeepers group online, then you will maybe be able to find one for sale periodically pop up. So anyway, that's where we're at today. As always, my friends, please remember what really matters, and that's not watches. Keep the insanity sane. What's up, everybody? So check this out. This is just a quick B-roll because I want y'all to be able to see the lume on these. So I didn't give them a zap. They've been under the studio lights, but let's give them a quick touch up just to give them their full potential. Oh, it looks like that Balticus may be two-toned. The Zelos might be two-toned as well with the Minitrack and the GMT hand. But anyway, so here we go. Let's do a quick lume shot. And I am filming this during the day. I've got the drapes closed and whatnot, but you can see that both look really good. But I have to give it to, like, if you're going to do lume wars with these, Zelos is untouchable when it comes to, well, I don't want to say untouchable. Zelos is up there. You take some of the best Seiko lume you've ever seen. You take some of the micro-brands that really, really focus on lume. Zelos is one of them. And it does tell. And it's, I think, one of the big factors. If you're a lume junkie, right? Well, then Zelos might be something for you to check out. Anyway, there's the B-roll.